Now, this is the section of our show called the National Spotlight. It's where we put the spotlight on brands, businesses, entrepreneurs, actresses, you name it, we want you on the spotlight. But the one criteria you folks should already know by now, you got to be the best of the best, though. This week on the spotlight, we went down to H-Town, that's right, Houston, Texas. And we are rocking with the birthing place. We got Miss Hassan on the line. Miss Hassan, how you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me this afternoon.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for rocking with us on what's on the menu. So, Miss Hassan, I don't want to jack up your first name. Can you tell our audience what's your first name?
My first name is Afua.
Afua. Oh, I like that.
Yes.
Afua. Oh. So, if you don't know right now, Miss Afua, she is the manager or the director or the CEO of the birthing place out there in Houston, Texas. And great to have you on, Miss Afua. So, quick question: How did you get started in the midwife natural birth practice?
Well, I was a student at Brown University, and I wanted to deliver babies, and the only thing I knew was to be an obstetrician. And one day I was seen in a clinic by a midwife, and I was like, oh, that's what I am.
Mm-hmm.
So after graduation, I went about educating myself about what kind of midwife I wanted to be. And after being in that ivory tower of Brown University, I realized that I wanted to be a direct entry midwife, so I'm not a nurse. I moved to Texas because I'm from Connecticut. I moved to Texas because direct entry midwifery was legal at the time, and it still is. There are like 20 states where midwifery still is not legal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came here to study midwifery. I was very fortunate to be around a lot of African American midwives here,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's how I came into midwifery.
Wow, you don't really hear about that on the East Coast. Can you your direct title again? Did you say direct? What is it again?
Direct entry. So
What is that? What does that do?
Direct entry midwifery is I went to a midwifery school for 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked at the school for 3 years, and then for another 4 years, the midwives that I know, I still worked under them. So that was about 10 years before I could say, oh, for myself, I felt comfortable enough to say, oh, okay, I could take clients on my own.
Okay.
And, become be a midwife.
Wow.
So,
Wow, this is good stuff right here. So I was reading this article, Miss Afua, right? In the article, it says that you walked the husband through a delivery of a breech baby, right? Can you describe how was that experience like? Because I'm thinking if I'm a husband and my wife is having a baby, I'm in more shock than she is. I'm like, oh
Right.
my God, help. So how was you able to
That's
calm him down and bring him to that whole process?
Well, the baby was breech, and my students were there at the office, and we were waiting for them to come. And I'm like, well, where are you guys? And they hadn't even left the house yet because she had progressed in labor far. And he was like, well, can you come to the house? I'm like, no, because I don't know where you live. Get in, pick her up, put her in the car,
Mm-hmm.
and head towards the office. 10 minutes later, he said, okay, I have a baby in my hands. I said, oh, congratulations. But then he said, the head is not out. I was like, okay. So I told him what position to get in and for her to push and for him to pull. And we had to do that a couple of rounds, like no, pull harder, push harder. And so then eventually the baby came out in about 3 minutes. The head came out in about 3 minutes. And so then I wasn't hearing her crying, so I told the mom, rub her back, and I said, is she pinking up? And then she said, well, turn the lights on because this is in the evening. I'm like, you're doing this in the dark?
Wow.
They turned the lights on. She was pink. And so then I said, well, just come on and come to the office. She's fine. You don't have to go to the hospital. And so, and we had talked a lot about what a breech delivery was beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not that he was going to deliver the baby, but he knew how serious it was. And So the baby's name is Harmony, and that's his little girl. Cause
Wow, that's an
she
amazing
really,
story.
she rocked it. Hmm.
Wow. So, like, how long have you been doing this, Miss Hassan?
I'm in my 35th year. I'm in my
35th year.
35th year. Hmm?
Wow. So, out of your 35th year, have you, of practice, have you ever experienced any maternal death?
No, I haven't experienced a maternal death or a baby dying, but in the business that I'm in, it can happen.
Mm.
It hasn't happened yet. And that's something that I explain to my clients all the time when they ask, because moms and babies die in the hospital, moms and babies die at home, and moms and babies have the potential to die in birth centers. And clients have to decide where it is that they want that experience to happen. You
Mm.
know, whatever experience that they get.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Hmm.
So, question, right? I remember when my son was being born. I'm a father, that's right. I
Hmm.
remember when my son was being born. And I remember how, it was my son's mother's, like, it was her first baby, right? And I just
Hmm.
remember, like, just rushing experience where, like, the doctors came in and they was like, oh, we got to get the baby out. So they was like, yo, we're going to have to go for a C-section instead of, being a natural birth. Now, do you think, like doctors or hospitals, do they push like more cesarean sections than like natural births?
One of the things that you have to understand about a hospital birth is that they have procedures
Mm.
where when you have a baby outside of the hospital, it's an experience. It's kind of like putting a car together, like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and it has to happen kind of quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and in the hospital. And so if it doesn't happen that fast, sometimes it's okay. Well, yeah, we're going to go for a C-section. Now there are a percentage of women who actually need a C-section, but in our country, our C-section rate is about 30%, where it should be around 10.
Mm.
So there's 20% of women who actually don't need a C-section. But with induction and augmentation, induction is when you're not in labor at all, but the doctor says, well, you're 40 weeks, you're at your due date, let's just get the baby out.
Mm-hmm.
And what most women, they're tired by then. They're tired of being pregnant.
Yep.
They're uncomfortable. And so they say, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
But
they
they
want it
don't
out. They're
understand.
like, oh, get this
They
out of
want
me.
it out.
Yeah.
But they don't understand what that potentially leads to.
Got it.
And so without full information, then women are making decisions um, and they're uninformed.
Mm.
I teach a class. It's called Navigating Your Hospital Birth.
Mm.
And I give moms questions to ask their healthcare provider, about what the system is like, because most women who go to the hospital don't know what it's like.
Mm.
Whereas when women come to a midwife, they have all these questions, and I spent a lot of time with my mom to explain what's going on. So we develop a relationship that's something totally different than what most women and their physicians experience.
Yeah, no, they didn't. I didn't experience that when because I was everywhere and I just felt rushed. So this is
Mm-hmm.
going into like my last question, right?
Okay.
So what are
Mm-hmm.
what are the health benefits of having a baby natural birth rather than like a C-section? What are the health benefits of
Well,
that?
when the baby comes to the vaginal canal, then a lot of fluid gets squeezed out that is supposed to get squeezed out,
Mm-hmm.
and so that they breathe better, they are better able to breastfeed. They don't. Women who don't have medication, they their babies are more alert, and so when it is time to breastfeed, then they're ready to do it. A mom has a different connection with her baby when it comes through her vaginal canal without medication, because it's like, I brought you in this world, I can take you out, because I remember
Mm.
every
That's
pain
right. That's
that I
right.
went through. So when women sit and even have a vaginal delivery with an epidural, they're talking on the phone, getting their nails painted. They're not connected to the process at all.
Mm.
But my thing is, if a mom wants to have a baby in the hospital, she should be informed about what the process is.
That's right.
And a lot of women are not. And so I don't think everybody should be either at home or in the birth center, but wherever you are, moms need to be informed. And most times, with the doctor, it's very fear-based. Oh, we're doing this because of this, and we're doing that. And there's no real discussion about, well, what happens if you don't do that? Because what women tell me all the time is like the doctor's in control. And outside the hospital, women are in control of their birth.
Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is like getting wrapped up with our interview. So, Miss Hassan, is there any more information you want our audience members to know, how to contact you? Maybe some folks over here on the East Coast might want to fly down there. Tell them how to get in touch with you, ma'am.
Okay, so my telephone number is really easy. It's 713-MIDWIFE. It's thebirthingplace.com. That's my website. And then The Birthing Place on Facebook and The Birthing Place on Instagram.
The Birthing Place.
The Birthing Place. And the reason why it's called The Birthing Place is because before it was a birth center, I knew that I needed to teach women that they can actually give birth. And so if you know that you can give birth, you could be in a field, you could be anywhere. It's just like the client whose husband delivered the baby in the car. She knew she can give birth. So even though I wasn't there and I was on the phone, it was a success.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for having me on your show. And, people can reach me through those vendors. Absolutely.
No doubt. Thank you so much, Miss Hassan, for rocking with us here. What's on the menu? You heard it here, folks. The Birthing Place out here in Houston, Texas. The Birthing Place. All right? Keep knocking. Keep rocking. We'll holla. Have a blessed one.
You too. Peace.